Welcome to another RTD interview. Today, I'm excited to have first-time guest, Mr. Damion Lupo. He's a seasoned entrepreneur who has launched and grown over 70 companies throughout his remarkable 25 years of experience. And today, he's joining us to share his thoughts on a variety of subject matter, and in particular, a strategic retirement plan that he's a part of, as well as him also sharing some of his written commentary as a published author. And so let me bring him on the screen here. Damion, how are you doing, my good friend?
Hey, good. Good to have you, or good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, as always, taking time to connect with us. And I'm very excited to get your thoughts and analysis on a variety of subject matter, because here on Rethinking the Dollar, as I mentioned beforehand, we cover everything from sound money policies as well as the potential geopolitical events and a variety of subject matter, because the goal is just to give people a well-rounded viewpoint on how to protect and preserve everything they worked hard for. And so definitely looking forward to getting your take on some things. But before we move forward, for those who may not know who Damion Lupo is, can you give us a little quick backdrop as to how you arrived at this current point of your career?
Yeah, it boils down to I did everything opposite of what you're told to do. Went to college, got thrown out because I started a business in college. Tried that 4 different times. That didn't really work out very well. But ultimately, that led to starting a lot of different businesses without an MBA. Literally just street smarts and a lot of blood and mud. And over the last 25 years, I've started 70 plus companies and failed at a bunch of them and made some money out of some of them, and ultimately turned the one I'm in now into a unicorn. So it's a lot of things that are different from what you're told to do in school by your parents, by society. And ultimately, that's led to where I am today, which is being a part of an incredible team that's changing the construction industry, changing the retirement space, and solving the housing crisis.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. So as always, I'm looking forward to diving into that more. But before we get to there, I guess at this current moment, what are some things that really fuel you and drive you to help other people? What are some things that can either concerns you or excites you about what you're currently involved in now? And we'll go from there.
I'll tell you, one of the things that challenges me and excites me is seeing how much pain people are in regards to money. I think money is the modern day slavery system. I think it keeps people shackled. And my mission is to free 1 million people from financial bondage, breaking their financial shackles. And so I do that in a number of different ways. And it's incredibly challenging because we're told all these different things, these lies, if you will, the original misinformation from Wall Street, from our parents, from the school system. And there's a different way of looking at things. Unfortunately, most people are really hardened to these belief systems. And so it's about imagining things differently, seeing the future differently. I think most people are dragging the legacy of their past into the future. And I hear that every day when I try to help people. So I've got to the point where now it's about looking and finding people or helping them find me, the ones that want to change something, because the ones that are going to argue are not really worth the time and effort. It's the ones that want to change their life and want to be financially free. That's who I'm excited about working with. And ultimately, I'm optimistic because of where we're going over the coming years, the political shifts that have happened. I'm really excited about where we're going as a country and as a society.
That's good. That's good. Now, I guess in reference to just some of the, I guess, practical things that you would encourage people to be open to learning about, share with us, I guess, a couple foundational pieces toward the educational journey that you more likely take people on to get to that financial freedom that you're referring to.
One of the simplest things that I encourage everybody to do, for many years, I encouraged people to go buy an ounce of silver. The reason being, it was different than what they've been told their entire lives. They were told, you'll go get a job, do a 401k, have some mutual funds, which doesn't really build up muscle. It's like looking at the gym and saying, if I look at it hard enough, I'll get fit. You got to go do the work. You got to do the reps. You got to build the confidence by doing the thing. And if you just study the gym, which is what people do, or they buy a membership, but they don't actually go, that's like buying a mutual fund. You're not really going to build any confidence muscle. And so my hack is you go do the thing. And it can be as simple as buying an ounce of silver, buying $10 of Bitcoin, going and doing something, buying a single share of some stock that you actually are interested in versus just throwing your money at Wall Street, hoping that it'll work out. I've never, ever seen that work for anybody in the last 20 years, other than people that were born in the 50s or 60s, because they ran a bull market without the inflation that we have today. Today, you have to do something different. You have to be smarter, and you've got to engage in something active. I'll tell you this, look, that most people want to have some type of passive investing. They want to have passive investments and income. And the reality is, if you're passive, it's going to go away. It's if you have a partner, a spouse, or a partner in life, and you say, hey, I'd like to just passively have sex for the next 20 years. I'm going to lay here, do me. Like, that is not going to work. That person's going to go away. Same thing with your money. You got to be willing to engage in it. And if you're not engaging in it, it's going to go away eventually.
So the more hands-on approach rather than just blindly trusting someone to operate on your best in your best interest, which has been a part of the traditional monetary or financial practices. That's what we were told to do. And so it's unfortunate that you can go, I myself went through the entire educational process and didn't learn nothing about money. And that's what fuels me to try to get people to rethink the dollar, just because, once again, things are just, we don't know. But I guess be more hands-on now. You get an ounce of silver, You do some proactive things. You even mentioned crypto, whatever. So I take it that you prefer more the diversified approach, or how would you can't give financial advice, but how would you recommend people be open to divvying up, I guess, their portfolio holdings or things of that nature?
The good news is because I'm not a financial advisor, I can give you all the advice in the world and I can tell it to you straight. I have a podcast called Financial Underdogs where I just rip apart the conventional wisdom. And I can do that because I don't have some big institution telling me what I can and can't say. I don't have any masters telling me what I'm allowed to do. And the reality is I don't believe in a diversified portfolio in the context of what Wall Street says. They say if you have a mutual fund, you got 50 or 100 different stocks, or 500 if you have the S&P 500. I don't believe in that. I believe in having actual real assets. Maybe you have a little bit of stock or something, but the truth is diversification can become diversification because this idea that you could have things spread out and you're safe allows you to not really pay attention. If you have, like Warren Buffett has talked about it, does he have 1,000 stocks? No, he has a handful of companies that he's highly focused in, and he focuses on companies that he understands, and he goes all in a lot of ways, whether it's Coca-Cola or Gillette or whatever he's doing. And I think that's important for everybody to say, I'm going to own my financial life. I'm going to go in. Doesn't mean you have everything in one thing, but it does mean that whatever you have, your wealth in terms of financial wealth, that you are paying attention and you have an understanding of it. So I look at that with anything that I'm investing in, whether it's one share of a stock that I've got, or whether it's businesses I'm in. I'm not in 50 businesses. People that say, I've got 7 different things I'm doing. I'm like, you are broke. And they say, how do you know? And I'm like, because you're splintered. You're not focused. You're like sunlight, but you're not a laser. So I would suggest that focusing is, and look, if you've got 20 million plus, diversified is great. But if you've got under 20 million, I'd be really encouraging people to stay pretty focused and then really understand what the heck they're putting their money into.
Right now, pretty focused. A reference to, like, you mentioned a little bit, a small amount, maybe in a stock or two here. You mentioned physical silver, and I'm assuming you would add to that as well. And so, I guess if you hone in to be laser focused, would your approach more so be like invest in yourself, your education, invest in your own business personally, or invest more in some things that I guess pay dividends? Or give us, I guess, a little bit more of a breakdown as to how what you would. So just try to break it into tiers. So you have someone lower net worth, say under 20, 30,000. Then you have a million. And then you mentioned someone under 20 million, the number you threw out there. Are they all one and the same, or would you divvy it up in a different way? What would approaches be?
Now, I love what you just said. The best investment you're ever going to make is in yourself. And we've heard this. Most people have heard this at some point, and it's worth saying and repeating over and over. You got to invest in your own intelligence and your financial literacy, like we're talking about here. And in addition, you have to take action. I've had a lot of people that just go through this mental masturbation process. They go to a seminar, they read a book, they listen to a podcast, and they go, man, that's amazing. And then they go listen to another thing and they do it, and they never actually take action. So now you can just take action and not have any education, which means you're a motivated idiot. And I don't think that's smart either. So there's a combination of empowering yourself, growing, being around people that are, look, if you're talking about money, you need to be around rich people. If you're talking about being really fit, you don't go to a 400-pound doctor and ask them what you should do. You go to somebody that's fit. You go to somebody that's already been there. You model these people. If you're getting advice from somebody that's not already done it, look, we're taught about finance to a certain extent, investing in school. What do they teach you? Take a stock for 30 days. And if it's up higher than everybody else, you win. It's being taught by poor people that don't know what they're talking about, that are literally regurgitating whatever they saw in the Wall Street Journal or Kiplinger's magazine. And if you don't know what those are, they're basically just mainstream media financial jargon that's spewed out by broke journalists that couldn't get a job at ESPN. So unfortunately, you've got to do something completely different, which is a combination of empowering you, getting smarter, and doing the thing and building the reps. Either one of those by themselves is dangerous. You've got to do both of them. And they start small, but it requires some type of step. And unfortunately, most people just do whatever's easier or funner, or I guess that's a word, funner, whatever's more enjoyable. And then good, your life is like the same as it was 10 years ago, 10 years later. And you go, what happened? Nothing. You just went in a circle on a merry-go-round.
Right. Now, I want to dive into, as I mentioned, you've written some books. So you've actually not only walk the walk, talk the talk, but you've also built up some avenues of income, some streams of income with your writings here. And so you have a lot of interesting titles here. And so the one that stood out to me is the one on the screen here, the QRP book. And so I'm curious to find out more about this, because it says here, accelerate your investment returns up to 10 times faster than a traditional 401k plan or a self-directed IRA. So curious to find out what's some of the contents of that book there and some of the strategies and approach you're referring to, if you don't mind sharing with us.
Yeah, about 13, 14 years ago, I had somebody come to me and I was selling gold and silver, have a gold and silver business, selling physical metals. And this guy said, hey, I want to use my retirement account to buy some silver. And I said, cool. I didn't really know you could do that. And so I started digging in and realized that there's a lot of people that probably would be very interested in using some 401k and IRA money to go buy real assets and not be stuck with all their money in the stock market. So I ended up building a company around this called the EQRP company. And what this is, it's a way for you to take your IRA and old 401ks from previous employers and control that money, not just sitting there hoping that you'll have money when you're 60, but literally, one, you can put up to 10 times more money into it each year than an IRA. And two, you get to choose what you want to do with it. If you want to invest in startups, if you want to invest in Bitcoin or gold or silver or land or apartments, you have all these options. Instead of what the financial system says, they say, oh, mutual funds are safe and diversified and everything else is dangerous and scary. So if you want to do the dangerous and scary, maybe 5% of your portfolio, but the rest of it, keep with us. Why do they do that? They do that because they want to get the fees off all your damn money, and they keep you trapped and they keep you feeling stupid. And this is why it's so important to educate yourself, because what you'll realize is people in Wall Street typically, for the most part, are salespeople. They're not rich. Most people, unless they're a hedge fund manager with billions under management, they are not rich. In fact, many times you're richer than they are. Wall Street, the only place in the world where people in Rolls Royces they take their Rolls Royce to get advice from somebody that took the subway to work. Like, it makes no sense. So we've got to be thoughtful about where you're getting information and what are you doing that's different. And this is a great way for you to be empowered, not necessarily be stuck in the Wall Street system. And it gives you the ability to grow that thing and do it tax-free. People don't realize that, like Peter Thiel, who is one of the founders with Elon Musk with PayPal, he ended up taking a Roth account, and he's got more than $5 billion. He started with less than $100,000. How did he do that in 20 years? And actually, it was more like 10 years, because he understood that he could do things with a self-directed account. Just like the EQRP, he went out and created a $5 billion tax-free forever account. That's how you should have part of your money, in a Roth EQRP. Why do I say should? And I very rarely say that, because if you can go to zero tax, everything changes. If you're in a 50% tax bracket, which is basically where people are going to end up if you try to create any type of wealth, you're giving away half of your money. Why would you do that? All you're going to do is change the vehicle, and then you're in a tax-free environment. That's smart.
So exactly. So just break down the details and the specifics to how this is put together. Does it stand for anything in particular, or give us the rundown as to how this came about, and give us some details about it?
Yeah, EQRP is an enhanced qualified retirement plan. So it's a type of retirement account similar to a 401k. It gives you all those options. So you can put $70,000+ into it a year versus $7,000 in an IRA. And you get all these tax shelters, you get these deductions. You have the ability to have a Roth, basically meaning tax-free forever. And then you have a checkbook. So typically you send your money with a 401k deduction out of your payroll, and then you just watch this thing maybe grow, maybe not. And in this case, you have a checkbook that shows your money, and then you invest how you want to. So it's a type of 401k that gives you control. That's what it boils down to. It gives you control. It gives you the ability to invest how you want, without somebody sticking you in something and just peeling and feeding off of you with all their fees for the rest of your life.
All right. Now, I guess for this particular product here, or structure, is there an ideal person? And then there are maybe some people who may not be best suited for this, or is this something that anybody can, for the most part, look into, or what?
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. And it's not for people that don't want to spend any time on their investments. Look, people are busy and they're exhausted. We're trying to keep up with all the things that are more expensive. We're working harder. This is an ideal environment. It's an ideal tool if you have some money in an old 401k and you'd like to do something other than mutual funds. If you like real estate, if you like Bitcoin, if you like gold, if you like land, or like all these different things, if you like those and you're willing to spend some time learning about those, because you're in charge. There's a great book by a couple of them by Larry called 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗡𝗟𝗡𝗟, and your life is your own damn fault. Like, literally, this is your responsibility. Nobody else is going to save you. And the reality is you can also create a 10 or 100x times bigger account because you're actually in charge. If you think that you're going to get a similar return with Wall Street, you're mistaken. But Wall Street's job is to make Wall Street rich. It is not to make you rich. It's to trap your money. And so this is for people that say, my life, my damn fault, and my responsibility. And if you have that philosophy, you're willing to spend some time, and it could be an hour or two a week, but imagine what that looks like over a year, 100 hours of studying. You're going to be smarter than most of the financial advisors out there. And who's going to care about your money more than you will? Nobody. So I think that this is one of those things where when people realize I can do this and I trust myself more than I do Wall Street, that's perfect. If you are not willing to spend the time, do not do this, because you'll end up losing your money because you'll make stupid mistakes, or it'll sit in a bank account and it won't do anything other than deflate.
Interesting. Now, I guess in taking this educational journey to learn more about this particular strategy here, because I heard you mention a Roth IRA. And so it's more than that. You mentioned checkbook and a couple of different sectors. So it looks like things combined together. A lot of this sounds relatively new, I'd imagine, to most. So is there an educational process that you take people along? Is there a team of individuals they work with, or is it a course to take, or like how would a person who comes from no type of financial literacy background become a master of their own fate with this type of program?
It's a great question. And what we're seeing in the world is a lot of apps and a lot of software and a lot of tools, and the price is being driven down to zero for everything. And the question is, if it's zero, what am I actually, I don't understand. You are the product. Somebody's going to harvest you. What we've done is we've created not only a team of humans, not just bots. So a team that's helping guide you and taking you, not just when you buy something, but along the way for years. And then there's a community. So EQRP has a community of thousands of its members, and the members are talking together. It's a private group online. People get to talk together. They come together. We had a couple of events this year where 100 people plus came together, and they realized that they're part of something special, self-responsible people. So you've got this overlap of thousands of people, plus you've got a team that's supporting you with your investments and what you can and can't do. And people are doing deals together and investing together. So the education is baked into the whole process. And it's not just an FAQ. It's literally interactive, real time with real people. And that completely changes the game, because ultimately, if you just think it's all by you, you're never going to be smart enough. You're never going to be fast enough. But coming together with a community and a team that's supporting you changes everything, and it accelerates your growth and your wealth.
Interesting. Definitely, it sounds like there's something worth investigating more into, just because it provides options, as you mentioned. And so I think that's something that everyone should definitely consider and take a look into. As I was looking online here, I see that people can find out more. Looks like at EQRP.com, and so it looks like you guys have a nice little team and things of that nature there for people to find out more information. For the person out there who might be like, okay, it sounds good, but what's the catch? Is there something like sounds too good to be true? How come more people aren't aware of this? How come more people might not be doing this? What would you say to those people?
I would say that it's like, why do some people say anything other than pharmaceuticals are voodoo? And it's the same thing. Like you have to ask yourself, why do you think a certain way, and why are we told a certain thing? Because with money, Wall Street is a 40 trillion machine that's meant to keep you in their box. The moment that you start going out of the box, they stop making as much money. It's about fees. It's about power and control. And ultimately, this is putting you in control. There are 1 million plus accounts that are similar to the EQRP that are out there, people that are taking control. So this is not something new. This has been around for close to 50 years. It's just that it's not mainstream because it's not profitable like mutual funds are. 40 trillion and I think it's probably getting close to 50 trillion given the stock market's levels. So we're talking about a lot of fee income. And they want to keep that fee income trapped. They don't want to give you control and power. But somebody that's skeptical, do the research. Get a copy of the EQRP, the QRP book. You can get it at EQRPbook.com. You go there and get a copy of it. And ultimately, this is going to lead you towards your own freedom. If you don't take that control, if you don't move forward with it, you're just going to be sitting there hoping and praying and stressing. Quite honestly, it's about you having control of your life, having the next decade by design, not by default. That's what it's all about.
Damien, I appreciate you for educating us and giving the community a chance to go down that rabbit hole of further educating themselves on options that are available to them, that it might have been hid from them because, as you mentioned, it's not real profitable for the companies that have been positioned as fiduciary people's retirement holdings. But as always, Damien, it's great to have you connect us on RTD. I definitely look forward to continue to reach out to you and get more of your thoughts and analysis, and get more down to the nitty gritty of how some examples and things of that nature, perhaps in the future. But any last thoughts to leave us with in reference to this entire journey that people should consider and start embarking down?
I'll make a big prediction that we're about to see literally a golden age of America. Right now is a great time to engage. There's been certain phases, whether it was the stock market or real estate, where if you were in it, you were winning it. And right now, I believe that we're in a phase that's coming over the next at least 2 to 4 years because of massive shifts in government and regulations. And there's just going to be a confidence and a hopefulness, which is really helpful for the economy. What that means is this is not the time to wait and see. This is the time to engage. Hardly even matters what you do, but be in the middle of this thing. If you don't, you're missing out on what may be the greatest boom time of our lives. And I'm very optimistic, more than I've ever been in my entire adult life.
Right. I was also doing a previous video mentioning about a wealth transfer. Like, I do believe that all the opportunities that's coming to a head now, it'd be a shame to miss out on it. And so you have to not necessarily pick a side, but then you have to just get involved and get your hands involved in some things, and you'd be surprised at what could come from it. So I too am excited as well. Definitely looking forward to learning more about products such as this. Damien, thank you for once again joining us, and definitely look forward to connecting with you online. Wish you the best of luck and a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and everything else until we meet again. But thanks for joining us on RTD Interviews.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a wonderful holiday.
My pleasure.